post up, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Girl, run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of This, and I am back here with another video. Today I'll be doing What If Deku Had Darkseid's Powers, Part 7. Yeah, Part 7, and I'm going to get right into it. Like I said, things are going to be coming at you a lot faster now. And don't worry, I didn't like half-ass it. It's just that my process is more fast and better now. So, like I said, you'll be getting videos faster and just, better. Let's jump right in. I mean, this is a perfect day to post. Like, there's actually no noise outside. And I mean, the background noise is still there, but like, it's, manageable. So I'm really happy right now. Anyway, let's just get right into the story. I'll say everything I want to say at the end. Hope you enjoy. Now, sorry, the audio might be switched up a little bit, but yeah, here I am. Let's go right into it. Last time we left off, Deku had just arrived at the training camp, but before that, he finally shown his teachers his immense strength. He even stated that he was stronger than All Might, and he plans to prove it soon. This need to show his power was instigated by the fact that it just took him one punch to, beat All Might, and the teachers want to know more about his strength, but while showing off, he destroyed all of Ground Gamma, which kind of causes a few problems. Deku would also meet the mastermind behind all his troubles and the reason why his mom got attacked. Expecting that Deku was weak, All For One tried to scare him, but he's the one who ended up getting frightened, because Deku was by no means weak. He even gave All For One a warning, but he also invites him to try beating him, if he can, that is. Of course, he's not gonna win. But once Deku had arrived at the training camp, he was met by a weird introduction coming from a little boy named Koda, and he did not like heroes. Now we go back to everyone being surprised at the actions of Koda. Koda storms off into the building mad while crying, and everyone has a moment of awkwardness. However, Deku breaks this silence. So, anyone want to join me for a spar? Bakugo steps up with his explosions. Now that's what I'm talking about. You can do that tomorrow. Right now you have to settle into the rooms and eat something, says Aizawa. Deku then says, alright then guys, come on. He runs in first and everyone follows behind him, and after checking out their rooms, everyone eats their fill. And while eating, Deku notices Koda helping out, and it's as if this kid detaches himself from everyone. Deku thinks, I could read his mind, but as he's thinking this, Bakugo grabs a piece of his meat, like what he's eating, and Deku punches him out of spite and takes it back. Everyone then laughs at this as we cut to the boys in the onsen, or what you would call a bathhouse, or, a hot spring. We need to do this more often, says Deku. Definitely, responds Todoroki. The guys would keep on talking as they start to notice the girls' voices and they start kind of blushing. However, seeing as Deku and Jiro are kind of dating and it's pretty obvious now, they're not going to be disrespectful and act like pervs. And this goes especially for Mineta, who is the biggest perv. So they would all pass their time peacefully, and there's no incident this time, and they all go to sleep. Time skip to the next day. It is 5 AM and Aizawa just woke everyone up. They were clearly tired and annoyed by this, but they were told this was going to happen, so they aren't surprised. Aizawa then speaks. The following days will be filled with rigorous training for hours on end. We need you all to produce results, and to do that, we're going to push you to the brink, so get ready. With that being said, throw this. He would throw a ball to Bakugo and everyone is confused because Deku was the top of the class. Are you messing with me, sensei? Asks Bakugo. Aizawa then says, I'm not trying to hurt your pride or anything, but if I let Deku throw, he might destroy the surrounding forest as well as our base. Hearing this, Bakugo would look at Deku with anger in his eyes. What did I do? Yells Deku. Everyone then understands what Aizawa is thinking and they kind of sweat. At this point, I'm surprised we're not all dead, thinks the entire class. As they think this, Bakugo will step up. Watch this, Deku. This is the result of my hard training. He would pull back his arm and throw the ball, but this time he kind of rotates it. He uses the same concept with the howitzer impact and it sends the ball flying with explosions until it lands on Viking's head pretty far away, who was guiding Class 1B to Class 1A to see what they were doing. What the? He would then pick up the ball and be a bit mad, wondering who did this. Now we go back to Class 1A, and Aizawa is impressed to say that Bakugo has gotten 945 meters this time. Everyone is amazed by this and they start to cheer for him, and Bakugo would smirk as he would walk by Deku while saying, I know that this might not be much to you, but I'm still coming for you, Deku. By the way, if the number he produced on like the first part or second part was actually higher, then let's just say he goes into the thousands. Alright, Deku then smirks and thinks, this guy really is my rival. A little bit over competitive though. Now we skip to all the students pushing their limits and training with each other or on their own. And as for Deku, he is getting all the attention once again as he is currently handling Tiger with ease. Before they started training, Tiger wanted to spar with him and train him. He thought that Deku could not control his strength considering what he thought he saw at the sports festival. I mean, he was just like blasting waves like shockwaves with his punch, so of course he would think that, but he could not be more wrong. Tiger is thinking, what the hell is this kid? He's like a seasoned veteran who's been fighting for years. Even when Deku would miss, he would just come back with an attack stronger and faster than the last. Tiger can't keep up. Everyone is watching him just get demolished and soon Deku stops. Maybe we should continue this later. I have to do my own training. Yeah, good idea. Good job, kid, says Tiger. Deku would then bow and would run towards Aizawa and suggest something. He wanted him, Bakugo, and Todoroki to spar since it will make them stronger and, they can get some, experience in. Aizawa then says, fine, but you better restrict yourselves. You don't want to destroy the training grounds. He would then smile as he would go get the two and they would go really far from everyone before they start a battle. By this point, Aizawa approaches Tiger and helps him up. Tiger then says, damn, I underestimated him. I know he's strong, but he shouldn't have that much experience. Who taught him? Aizawa then says, according to his records, he became a black belt in karate at the age of 7. Hearing this would shock Tiger as he would dust himself off. I am so glad he's on our side. By this point, Class 1B would arrive to see the 3 strongest kids at the school battling it out, and the ground is shaking. Not only that, the rest of the Class 1A students are running, tiring themselves out, under the hot sun non-stop. So this is what we have to beat, says Monoma. Black Kid would then say, I would love to tell you you could beat them, but those 3 are in a league of their own, so you can't beat them in strength. But don't be discouraged because no one is perfect. If you can't beat them in strength, use tactics, teamwork, whatever you have to beat that. As he says this, the ground quakes from Deku throwing a punch. Now we're going to time skip to everyone taking a break. It is currently 4 AM, meaning that they have, trained for more than like freaking 5 hours, which honestly is exhausting enough. It brings me back memories of football practice. Jesus, that is the worst. Anyway, Deku would take the lead, on like cooking because, they're taking a break right now. And he's actually a pretty awesome chef. He's cutting up the vegetables and ingredients fast and swift. And while doing this, Pixie Bob would be staring at him in trance, but then her and Jiro would cross eyes. Stop looking at him like that, yells Jiro. And what if I don't, says Pixie. The two would continue staring each other down as Deku sighs when he sees this. And this is when he would notice Bakugo come close to him and he would start helping out, cutting up vegetables too. Wow, you're actually pretty good with the knife, man, says Deku. What, you think you're the only one who can cook well? Watch this. He would then speed up like rapidly and crazily and Deku would think, yep, that's my rival. Jeez. At this point, Deku would call over Jiro, who would still be in a staring contest with Pixie Bob, and she knows Deku calling her and would run over to him. Deku would then tell her to pass out the food to everyone. Deku would then also say, by the way, Todoroki, could you increase the flames a bit? He would then nod as he would smile and increase his flames, and soon Deku is done cooking and Ida pats him on the back. Good job, Midoriya. Deku would say, thanks, and good work on the leadership. As Deku would say this, he would realize that he forgot to make food for himself, but this is when Jiro would approach him with a plate. Tenya would see for himself that he needs to leave and eat while letting the couple have their time. Deku would then thank her for the food, but just as he was about to eat, he senses and sees Koda sneaking away. Actually, give me a moment, I gotta go, okay? I'll be back. He would then teleport to where Koda was going, which is a mountain not far off in the middle of the forest. He would wait there for about 2 minutes and Koda would arrive to see Deku waiting for him with food in his hand. What the? How did you get here? Asked Koda. I can teleport, says Deku. Koda would then walk past him full of anger and demand that he leave. Deku would then turn around and see him staring off into the sky. I don't know what happened to you, but I'm pretty sure your aunt would want you to. Koda would then cut him off. Leave me alone. I don't want stupid scrubs like you entering my base. Fuck off. You're not welcome here. Deku would then sigh as he approaches him and puts down the food. And he starts walking back as he says, You know, maybe you don't like people like me, and that's fine, but don't push away people who are close to you. Even if she's someone, who's a hero, she's not just some nobody. Yeah, I know, she's famous, responds Koda. Deku then looks back. No, I mean, she's family. Koda's eyes would widen as Deku teleports and disappears. As he would arrive back to the others, Deku would think, oh, those idiots finally came. Well, let's see what you can do with your new team, all for one. Now we skip to the third day of the students strengthening their quirks, and once again, the powerful trio is battling. Of course, Todoroki and Bakugo are sore, but they don't plan on losing to Deku. Now, as they finish training and eat again, today's Deku is doing like the job of gathering wood. As he arrives by a stove, he dumps in the wood and sees Todoroki and asks him a question. Hey, Shoto, what is your point of view on the Hero Society? Well, I kind of hate the system. It's unfair to those who are weaker. They end up terrible, having a horrible life, or they commit suicide. It's just not right. By the way, from now on, I'm going to be calling Todoroki Shoto because I honestly find it weird that I've been calling him by his last name, and it's weird that everyone calls him by his last name, but I'm just going to call him Shoto from now on. It's his first name, so you know. Same for Ida. I'm going to be calling him Tenya from now on. Alright, anyway. Deku says, I agree. Then I guess there's really no way to... Shoto then says, this is about that Koda kid, right? How'd you know? It's obvious. Don't worry, Midoriya. When you need to talk to him, seriously, the words will just come to you. Deku then smiles as he thanks Shoto and they continue on, and since the last time Deku didn't really eat as much, he practically hogs everything, and after they eat, the Wawa Pussycats would take them closer to the forest. Guys, we'll be doing the test of courage, says Pixie. The students would then get excited, but it seems that some of them had to stay and have a quick lesson with Aizawa, and they're practically dragged away, like literally, and they're begging for their life. Then everyone else will continue with the test. However, as they start the test of courage, it seems that Deku is left with no partner. Jiro, hearing this, will be feeling pretty bad, and don't worry, Izuku, when I come back, we can go together if you want. He would then wave as Deku waves back and starts waiting around. But while doing this, using his telepathic powers, he would talk to Mandalay. Are we clear on the plan? Mandalay then says, yes, don't worry, because of your information, Tiger, Ragdoll, and Pixie are out protecting the students. Deku would then look at her and nod when all of a sudden they see the forest spark with blue flames. These flames start to spread as the rest of the Wild Pussycats would take action. By this point, this is when Mandalay would notice that Koda is nowhere to be found. Deku would read her distress from her facial expression and realize it too. Don't worry, I'll go get him. He would instantly disappear and reappear where Koda's secret spot is at. Also, while leaving, he left behind one of his minions. I'm just going to start calling them parademons from now on. He left one of his parademons and he informed them of all this, that they would be having some assistance. So Mandalay knows that she'll have backup if she's in trouble. Of course, like, if any other students see the parademon, he's just gonna mask himself and they won't notice he's even there. Just gonna kill all the villains, or I mean knock them out without anyone else noticing. Now we're gonna cut to Deku as he had just arrived to see a scared Koda and a big muscly guy who was confused. Where'd you come from? Asked Muscular. Deku ignores him and looks at Koda to check if he's okay. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? No, he said he was looking for someone, says Koda, scared and confused. Deku, hearing this, would turn around and read Muscular's mind. You're here for me, aren't you? So, you're Izuku Midoriya? Pretty big for a freshman. He will remove his cloak. As soon as Muscular says this, he gets a cut across his cheek and he sees that Deku's eyes have turned red. Shut the hell up and get out of here. This isn't funny anymore. Sorry, kid, but I ain't going anywhere. It's my job to collect you. As he says this, he takes out his left eye and puts in his new and serious one he used to, kill people. Apparently, you're pretty strong, so I guess I gotta be pretty sick. Before he can finish the sentence, Deku slams a punch into his face and crushes his nose just as he slams him down to the ground and leaves a crater in the ground. I know you're still alive, but it's better that you don't move, or... As he says this, muscle fibers wrap around his arm. You little bastard. He would then go to grab him by the neck, but Deku catches his arm and crushes his wrist. Muscular then screams in pain. Like I was gonna say, this will not end well for you. He would then make a fist with his right hand, and this rips away all the muscle tissue that was holding his arm. Deku was about to then go in for the finishing blow and just like go crazy on him, but then he notices that Koda is here and he thinks that he probably shouldn't do this in front of a child. He gets off Muscular and heads for Koda and kneels in front of him. "We're gonna go back to your aunt, okay? She must be worrying sick about you." "Thanks for coming back," says Koda. "Of course." But as Deku feels this, he feels a presence and turns around just in time to block a massive punch from an angered Muscular. At this point, Muscular has gone full power and is bursting with like muscle like everywhere. He doesn't even look human anymore. "I'm gonna kill you, you insect." "Wow, you really don't give up, do you?" says Deku. As he says this, Koda will start to cry and worry for Deku. He stumbles back in fear of what could happen to him. Even though he insulted him and told him to leave him alone, he is risking his life for him. "Are you okay?" says Koda while crying. Deku would then turn around with a smile. "Hey kid, I forgot to say this, but the name's Izuku Midoriya, but you can call me Deku, since it seems you didn't really know what to call me by. Now, give me a minute." He then easily pushes back Muscular and shocks him. Damn, what is this kid? He's like a monster. As he says this, Deku punches and kicks him about 100 times all around his body in an instant. This is of course due to his superhuman speed, and even with all his muscle fibers protecting him, it's worthless. It's not helping him at all. Deku then lands a final punch in his gut, and Muscular just loses complete control of his muscle fibers and they deactivate. He falls to his knees and spits out blood, and then he falls flat on his face. Deku then lets out a sigh. "Okay, now that's done. Hey Koda, see? I'm okay." Koda then runs over to him and checks how his body is doing. "How did you not break any bones?" "I'll tell you later," says Deku. He then picks him up. "Right now, we need to get you back to Mandalay." "Wait, is she okay?" asks Koda. "Oh, so you do care about something." "Don't worry, she's fine." Now we cut to Mandalay and one of Deku's parademons protecting her. Spinner goes in for an attack, but the parademon just breaks all his swords and sends him flying into a tree with a punch to the gut. Mandalay is amazed at this creature's immense strength and its attire. By the way, like I said, they look like butlers, just in case you forgot, and they kind of have the appearance of beastmen. This one looks like a beastman. "So you're Izuku's servant?" asks Mandalay. "Yes, quite so. I am a parademon. That is the name of our kind. Now, as I take care of these pests, would you give the signal?" Mandalay would then do as he says, and the students are, say that these students are allowed to fight back. "As some of you have noticed, we are under attack. Soon, help will arrive, but right now you should attack and defend yourselves. You have our permission." As she says this to every student, like in the forest, they start going crazy and attack the villains, and Tiger is taking people like Moonfish on and allowing Shoji and Tokoyami to live. Pixie Bob takes out the man who created the gas and is covering the forest. And by this point, Aizawa is already taking on Dabi's body double, a little earlier due to Deku's interference. However, as they're fighting and the Dabi double, body double disappears, out comes Deku, who senses Dabi and Twice hiding, and he quickly fires his beams at them. They didn't expect this, and so Dabi gets a scar added to his body, and it was right across his chest. Seeing this, Twice quickly picks him up and, takes him away. Smart choice, thinks Deku. This is when he would see Aizawa ahead and would land, as, he had been flying this entire time. "Midoriya, is the plan in motion?" asks Aizawa. "Yeah, don't worry, and I got Koda." He would let Koda run into Aizawa's arm, and he would get ready to fly off, but Aizawa would stop him. "Wait, did you find out why they're here?" "Yeah, it's for me," says Deku. He would instantly then leap and start flying, and when he reaches the skies, he would see the flames and think, "Yeah, we can't have that." He would start using his matter manipulation. He would instantly just turn the fire into, pure oxygen. That takes care of that. Now, let's see what you're doing. He would enhance his eyesight and see a majority of the students being led by Tiger back to the base. However, those like Kirishima, Bakugo, and Shoto, would be surrounded by villains. Seeing this, Deku would instantly teleport to the area that they're at. "So, how's it going, guys?" "Took you long enough," says Bakugo. "Hey Midoriya," says Shoto. Kirishima then says, "Oh right, you can teleport. Forgot about that. But what do we do about these guys?" In front of the four would stand Dabi, Twice, Toga, and Mr. Compress, who is sitting on a tree. Deku, seeing this, would smile and send out a message to the rest of the teachers. Me and a few others are going to massacre some villains. We'll come back soon though, don't worry. Deku would then crack his knuckles with his eyes beaming red. Well, seems like now we have to beat you guys up. Come on. He would fly toward and ram his arm into Toga's throat and he slams her down. Then he would fly up and tackle Mr. Compress, who is taken to the skies. After Deku did this, Shoto gets attacked by Dabi and Bakugo attacks twice. By this point, Toga would have gotten up barely conscious, and I mean like this girl was legit about to just die, but she would attack Kirishima for his blood since she kind of gets high off of that. And while they're having this little wide-scale battle in the forest, Deku holds Mr. Compress by the neck. So, wanna tell me what you're doing here? Maybe I could if you could let me go, says Mr. Compress. Of course he's trying to be like sarcastic and annoying, but Deku would comply, and instead of holding him, he would start holding him with telekinesis. Mr. Compress did not expect this at all, and he was just saying this to rile him up, but this kid actually has a way to hold him without letting him escape. Deku would then ask him once again why they are here, but he would only try to stall. Fine, if you won't tell me, then I guess I can just keep you around until I get something out of you. Mr. Compress is confused until all of a sudden he starts to feel woozy and he would pass out in midair. With this done, Deku would carry him back to the ground as he would see Bakugo and Shoto had beaten their opponents. However, Kirishima would be having a bit more trouble dealing with a girl like Toga. But this is when Deku would intervene and knock her out the same way he did with Mr. Compress. Sorry about the stutter. Oh, thanks, man. That girl is a psycho, says Kirishima. He would fall on his ass as Bakugo would start walking towards him while dragging along a knocked out twice. Jeez, did you not learn anything during our training? Don't be so hard on him, the way she fights is pretty unorthodox, says Shoto. As he says this, he would run over and, help Kirishima up. Deku would then smile as he says, so that takes care of that? Guys, we're heading back to the camp, hold on. They would then grab a hold of him and instantly they appear in front of everyone. Seeing them appear, Jiro would run towards and kiss Deku and straight on the lips. Wow, did you miss me that much? Asked Deku. She would then continue hugging him as he hugs her back and says, okay, sorry. As he says this, both Shoto and Kirishima will be lying on the ground a little woozy. Oh, sorry, that happens when I teleport people, you'll get used to it. They would then pick themselves up as everyone would make sure that they're okay and that no one is missing, and luckily no one was, but due to the incident, the camp was to be stopped immediately and they all had to return back to the city. The students would be in their dorms, protected by the teachers, and they would be packing up to leave, but Deku was elsewhere, talking to someone at Koda's secret place. So, your plan failed, again. All for One then says, what are you getting at, boy? I'm saying, as much as I love handing you your ass, you should just stop, it's pointless. Oh, are you getting scared of a little showdown, Midoriya? Oh, trust me, I'm ready anytime you are, says Deku. He would lift his arms with his eyes glowing red once again. Rocks would start to just surround him as the mountain would shake. Anywhere I am is my territory. I am in control. You can't beat me. Fine, I'll back off for today, but you can't protect everyone forever, brat. All for One would then create a portal and disappear as Deku would smirk and start flying back to the base. He would be flying above the Wild Pussycats who had just found him and they would ask where he was. Sorry, I had to take care of something, yells Deku. Now we're gonna time skip to Deku at home and he would see one of his parademons cooking in an apron as he lies down on the couch. Mom, I know I said they're for you to use, but did you have to put him in an apron? Inko would then come down the stairs and say, sorry, they're just really convenient. Deku would then sigh and be annoyed at the fact that his creatures are being used for this purpose, purposes like these. Then he does something that he hasn't done in a while. He takes out his harmonica and he starts playing it. And this is when he would hear a knock at the door. By the way, in the first episode I mentioned that he kept the harmonica in his pocket. He never used it that much during the episodes because I also forgot about it, but I'm kind of bringing it back. It's just going to be something he does whenever he's bored. Just take out his harmonica, just play music or use his phone because, yeah, we're teenagers. He's a teenager, we're teenagers. Anyway. Deku then says, I got it, Mom. Jeez, I really cannot catch a break today. He would then open the door and see Aizawa and All Might. So, Judging by the looks on your faces, I'm guessing this is serious, says Deku. All Might then says, yes, young Midoriya. May we come inside? He would then let them in as they would sit on the couch, and Inko would come back down the stairs, and she's a bit surprised. Oh, All Might, and Aizawa-sensei, I presume. She would then come and shake their hands as All Might says, hello, you were much calmer than I thought you'd be. Inko then says, oh, when you have a son like mine, you become desensitized to everything. Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask, would you like any water? All Might, if it doesn't bother you, then sure, says All Might. Sebastian, bring some water, yells Inko. You named him Sebastian? Asks Deku. As he says this, his parademon would appear in front of All Might with a cup of water. Aizawa then says, wait, you live in an apartment, but you have a butler? He's not a butler, he's a parademon. The same that I showed you last time. My mom just told it to change its appearance, and now it looks like a J-pop star. All Might would then kind of choke on his water while laughing. I'm sorry, it's just good to see that you're still the same Midoriya after the incident. And that's actually why we're here today. Deku would then read their minds real quick and say, wait, you want me to join you in beating a villain? You know, I usually don't like reading minds, but this is kind of worth it. Hearing this, Inko would not know what to say, and she's at a loss for words. I know we're putting you in a bad situation, but we need his strength. And we can't beat this villain easily, says Aizawa. Inko would then say, and for that you need my son on the front lines? I know he's strong, but no sane mother would ever willingly let her son fight psychopaths. Just letting him be a hero is hard enough for me. And if you say this villain is that dangerous, then I don't know what to tell you. Deku then says, you should probably let me go. The reason why I wanted to be a hero was so I could take down villains and help people, to fight psychopaths and tell them to back off. These powers are a waste if I don't do something with them, something good. Don't worry about me, you know I'll be fine. All Might would then prostrate and beg for her to let Deku come with them, and so would Aizawa. And seeing how much Deku was needed, this would make Inko just agree, despite her worries, but she knows deep down that her son might as well be so powerful that at this point, there's no need to worry. But she will, of course, be worried. What mother wouldn't be? Also, if you're wondering, all the villains were captured, and I mean everyone. Magne, Twice, Moonfish, every single villain of All For One's operation has been taken. Except for the scientist who's making the no moves, obviously. But yeah, they captured all of them. This is what I'm doing in this what if. If you forgot, Shigaraki and Kurogiri were already captured by the 3rd episode or something. Yeah, if you didn't know, go back and watch it. So considering what I said, All For One is alone, by himself. Except for a few mob villains that don't really matter. They're just cannon fodder. They're just surrounding him, but it was the perfect time to attack All For One. And just like in the original, Momo planted a tracker on Anomu who was going back to the villain base. This time, All For One was calling it back since things were going a bit downhill. Now we're going to skip to the day where the heroes are gathering for the attack. Deku was arrived with All Might suited up, and he feels like a lot of stares coming from the heroes. He would then send a message out to everyone using his telepathic powers. Oi, stop staring. It's rude. Hearing this would surprise the heroes as they start to ask All Might why he brought this kid to an event like this. All Might would tell them to relax because this kid is really good and soon they'll see his worth. They're already seeing how upfront and how much he doesn't give a damn, so they shouldn't be so off put by him being here. He's clearly a bit more mature than the others. Now of course everyone saw Deku's power at the sports festival, but they have some ego as heroes, so they think they could still beat him because they have more experience, but that is not true in the slightest. But the heroes who have seen him in action know that they are not going to stand a chance, and they're just thinking, these guys are going to be in for a shock. By this point, the police would arrive and they would get ready to storm All For One's base. This time, All For One would be waiting for them with an army of villains, and they're surrounding the building, but he has none of his main force, like I said. And All For One will be residing in the building. And seeing as they don't have time to waste, they go in for a frontal attack. All Might will let Deku take the lead. He uses his telekinesis to hold the villains in midair, and he sends them flying away. And when he does this, the police enter the building from different places, to check out what's going on, arrest some people. They're like a SWAT team, full on, obviously. This is when All Might would bust through the main door, then Mount Lady would break the building in half with a punch, and they would see a man sitting by a bar with his legs crossed. "So, you've arrived. All for One, this is your end," yells All Might. "Oh, sure thing, but we have some uninvited guests," says All for One. He would then open portals that would leak out a bunch of different Nomus that attack and drive back the other heroes, even Mount Lady, because, you might be huge, but, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And this applies very, very much. However, Deku would easily kill the Nomus heading for him by creating a force field, made of, telekinetic energy, like the force field, by using his telepathic powers. None of the attacks got to him. He was unreachable. And by this point, All Might would drive out All for One so they could have their fight. The fight would go as same as the original, and eventually Gran Torino would step in to help, and so would other heroes, but it was pointless. And while they failed, All Might had to fight All for One all by himself, who was actually stronger than the last timeline because he actually used his quirks instead of making whatever the hell this is. Seriously, you live for 100 years and this is what you can come up with? You can't just be a tactician and bring him down? I mean, All Might just punches stuff. That fight could have been easily won by All for One, but no. Plot convenience. Jeez. Anyway, Deku would soon head towards the main battle by flight, and he would be approaching really close, a little too close for safety, and he would see the calamity being caused by the fight. The heroes would be warning him to come back and that he's being stupid. Helicopters would be catching the action through their cameras, they'd be broadcasting all this action, and everyone would be watching on the news as this kid was essentially committing suicide. They would wonder why he was there to begin with. Deku, however, says nothing, and he flies up into the sky and just waits there patiently until All Might would finally use the United States of Smash. And as he was being cheered on, All Might would give in, he would just give all of his power and just beat the living shit out of All for One, and he would just raise his hand in victory. But Deku knew this wasn't over. As All Might raises his arm in a sign of victory in his weakened state, All for One would reappear and grab him by the throat. "How are you still standing?" says All Might. "Oh, because you missed. I mean, come on, you didn't really think you could get rid of me by punching me hard a few times, right?" By the way, I mean, no disrespect to All Might. I mean, he's a dope hero, but seriously, he could do more than just punching the air and kicking the air. There's better strategies. There's a reason why Deku broke his arms. He was a horrible teacher at the end, but he got better. So, I'm not trying to hate on All Might. It's just true. What I said is true. You can't realistically. All for One should have won that battle because he has way more quirks and has lived for 100 years. I'm rambling, sorry, I'm literally turning to the people I don't like watching What Is from. I'm gonna get back to the point, no more rambling. Alright, now he tightens his grip around All Might's throat as he would just gasp for air, and everyone on the battlefield in their homes watching this would be scared for their hero, but they couldn't do anything. This is when all of a sudden they would notice Deku just appear by All for One as he's strangling their #1 hero, and with a simple smack to the face, he sends All for One flying, and All Might gets released. Everyone would be shocked as they would realize who this kid actually is. That's the kid from the sports festival. And the one that beat Stain by himself. And the one who recently basically took care of all the problems that happened during the whole training camp situation. Deku would ask, "You okay, All Might?" All Might would look up to see Deku giving him a hand. "Thanks, young Midoriya." He would get up. "I guess I'm down for the count." "Well, just leave the rest to me. I just need a little bit of time," says Deku as he would just start stretching. And All Might watches in amazement as this kid just flew down and made him feel like he had no worries in the world. "I guess I no longer have the right to call myself #1. Deku would then smile as he turns around. All Might, being the strongest doesn't only apply in physical strength. And trust me, it takes a big man to admit when it's time to hand over the torch. All Might would then ask, "You sure you got this?" "Oh please, this guy's nothing," responds Deku. All Might would then smile as he sees Izuku raising his hand, and he would give him a high five. "Go get that son of a bitch," With pleasure, says Deku. As he says this, All For One would get up and start throwing tendrils made of metal at Deku, who once again creates a force field that protects him, and a weaken All Might. Then he would expand the field as he yells, and this would destroy the tendrils. Then he would copy All For One, and using his mana manipulation, he would also create tendrils coming out of his fingertips, and they're just like made out of pure steel. These would pierce the villain to the point where he was bleeding from everywhere. Deku would then retract the tendrils as he would say, "Yeah, I can do that too." Hearing this would piss off All For One, and using one of his multiple quirks, he starts just regenerating. And after doing this, he raises his arm, and he starts to just get filled with air until he releases it all at Deku, who still, by the way, was by, he had an All Might behind him who was pretty weakened. Really? That attack again? Oh please, says Deku. He would create another force field and the wind would just brush off of it. Why am I having so much trouble with this kid? How many quirks does he have? Is he just like me? Thinks All For One. As he says this, he will notice that Izuku or Deku is firing eye beams at him. He will start to dodge and run around while looking for an opening, but then he realizes, wait, this kid can bend these beams. He looks behind him and sees the beams heading for him, and he would get hit right in the back. He falls and sees Deku flying over as he fires another beam at him. He has no time to react, so he has to create a shield with his hand using another one of his quirks. However, as Deku intensifies the power of the beam, the shield can't keep up, and at this point, All For One is just getting burned, like more than just third-degree burns. This dude is getting roasted alive, and he can't take all the pain. I have to hang on just to... He would then notice that he got hit in the gut with a stump made of metal, just of steel, pretty hard. Imagine Toph when he was training Aang, the stuff she did by tapping her foot on the ground, and then rocks would come up and hit Aang, and it made us all laugh. Yeah, think of that, but much worse and much more detrimental to All For One. He would then say, "How did you?" He passes out on the stump of steel and is out cold, almost dead. Endeavor just says, Did he just win? This kid, says Gran Torino. The police would run over and instantly start taking care of All For One as they put him in quirk dampening cuffs, and one of the policemen would look at Deku and say, "Kid, you just saved all of us. Thank you." Deku says, "It's not a problem. It's what heroes do, right?" Well, hero in training, but still. As he says this, he sees the ambulance also pulling up, and they're taking care of the injured heroes, and they're taking All Might away. I guess it's time for me to go home. But as he would try to fly off, he would start getting surrounded by heroes who all of a sudden would start patting him and cheering him on. And back in the city, his friends would be shocked at what he just did. Inko, who would be at home and saw the whole thing, would then see Deku waving at one of the cameras while saying, "Hi, Mom." Inko would start to cry as this is when her parademon would hand her a tissue. "Thank you," says Inko. Now we go back to Bakugo at his house, and my dude is fuming with anger. I'm not going to describe anything else, but he is thinking that once again Deku has shown him how farther ahead he was. The gap between him and Deku just keeps enlarging. I mean, all around Japan, people will start spreading new things about Deku, and people just came to know him more. And we're gonna cut to Deku in bed the next day after all this craziness passed over. Don't worry, my man's got fans. I'm just gonna reveal it after a bit. And he saw his mom in his face, he woke up and his mom was all up in his face. "God, Mom, what the hell?" Inko says, "Sorry, it's just that I made you something. Come downstairs." She would quite literally drag him down the stairs to show him just the best breakfast, and seeing this, Deku would sit at the table and get ready to eat. That is where I'm going to leave it off. It's not really a cliffhanger, but it's kind of close. Okay, you have made it to the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Before I say anything else, I want to talk about some things that I want to say, like I always do, which are honestly, the outros are really long now, but that's how I like it. It gives me time to tell you whatever I want. And I like that some of you watch the video through. If you don't, it's fine. And if you dislike this video, leave a dislike. If you like it, like it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, and share this with anybody else who might like what ifs. Now I'm going to talk about why I'm doing and branching out, doing more what ifs. Might not be a big deal to most people, but the reason why it's important to me is because I can never find what ifs that have to do with Attack on Titan. And I honestly like Attack on Titan. I like it for its mystery, and I like the way that the fight scenes are made. I mean, it was really slow at the beginning, but now you see why it was made so slow. It's so they could build up, and I think it's a pretty good show. So whenever I look around, I type up "what if Eren," I find the worst what ifs. There is like only one person I've ever seen do what ifs right, and that would be Izukage. Like, what if Eren was his reincarnation? It was awesome because, I mean, that was the only what if I saw that was actually good. The other ones are just people rambling on about nothing for freaking minutes before they actually got to the what if. I mean, come on, guys. Like, it's not that hard to just write something down and read it off. Come on. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe like some people have circumstances. I mean, we all have our circumstances, but it should not be that hard to write something down and then to just read it out loud. I'm just saying. Alright, I'm gonna stop rambling on. That's why I'm doing what if Eren, like, you know, videos, because I think it could be fun. And I can make Eren so fucking OP that at a certain point, it just wouldn't matter who's the enemy anymore. So yeah, like I said, I love OP what ifs. Anyway, from now on, the videos are gonna be around like 30 to 40 minutes long, just my normal videos, because by now, like, you've noticed that this is a current trend where my videos go up to at least 30, 37, like, and now today 40 before they end. So yeah, that's gonna be normal from now on. Each of my videos are gonna be around 30 minutes long, or 20. It will never be behind 10 from now on, and I mean, it never has been. I don't think so. But yeah, that's it. The special is coming along. I'm just finding out the good way to make Deku come out as the most OP guy on the planet without making it annoying. Like, cause you know, when you reveal so many things at once, it makes it kind of lose its, you know, flair. So I want him to come out and surprise people in a way that would just shock them so much that their mouths would literally hit the ground. Alright, anything else I want to talk about? My life is going great now. I have my PC and everything's just easier. Starting with a new semester kind of gives me a restart, like I said, so I'm loving it. And speaking of that, I have to go do some homework. So I will see you guys in the next video. And if you go on my community tab, go to my community tab, you will see this question that I asked you. Sorry, I had to burp for a second. And it is about, you know, what ifs you want to see. In the order that you voted for them, the one with the biggest vote came first. And then second came the second biggest vote. And then third is what you're guessing is going to be next. So for people who are might be bothering me about what's next, that's next. Alright, this. Please don't ask me again. This is next. Alright, see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna go do my thing, like, maybe watch The Arrow. I'm actually loving the show, like, legit, I'm actually loving The Arrow. I thought I would hate it, because it seems kind of just depressing, but I'm actually loving it. I'm gonna stop bothering you guys. Go sleep, stay safe, do good in school, and don't do drugs. There is no need to say that, I just wanted to.
Oh darling, if I had bought you flowers, would you still be